evening all, and thank you for joining our Monday night panel. Tonight we're going to review the Fleetwood game, first game with fans back, and also talk anything Swindon Town. We're very pleased to say that we've got Dion Conroy with us, so I'll introduce Dion in a moment. Just a couple of things one for your diary, one that request. So is there any ladies out there that would like to come onto the panel and talk Swindon Town? We'd love to have a ladies' perspective to review the games, but also talk anything about the game, about Swindon Town. So if you are a lady who would like to participate, or you know somebody who'd like to participate, please put a comment on the feed tonight, or go to our website and send us a message and we'll get back to you. Also, if you're looking for gifts, we've got some merchandise, the official Supporters Club logo on. We've got chocolate bars and umbrellas and some key fobs, some leather key fobs. So have a look at our website. And a date for your diaries, this Thursday at 7 o'clock. So that's Thursday the 17th. We've got a quiz. So we've got a Christmas quiz. So everybody's welcome. Playing teams in your households or against your friends. It will be hosted by Vic and also by Lee Peacock. So please join us for that. So that's my announcement. So let's get Vic and Dion on. So we should have Vic.
Hello, Chris. Very good evening to you. Hiya. Yes. I'm all right. Thank you very much. Trust you're okay as well.
I'm absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Good.
Hopefully we'll have
There we go.
There we go.
There we are.
There we go.
Marvellous.
Good evening, Dion.
Hi, guys. How are we?
Hi. We're all good, thank you. So I'm going to leave you in Vic's capable hands, and I will speak to you later.
Perfect.
Chris, thank you very much indeed. Skipper, great to have you along. Thank you very much indeed for joining us this evening. The last time we spoke to you was way back in the summer in lockdown, and you were still recovering from the injury. You're back playing now. How good is that?
It's an amazing feeling. Obviously, having to go through an injury like this again at a young age, it's tough. I don't think people that haven't gone through this injury or haven't had a close relative or friend that hasn't been through it, it's tough to understand the kind of effects it has on your mental side. Obviously, it was an incredible last season. The boys got promoted and everything, but then again, that was a big part of my frustration, not being able to be out there and be the captain and sort of play all those games. But then again, I'm so happy to now be playing and feel fine and feel fit and ready to kick on and hopefully get us back up to the table where we should belong.
Yeah, we'll get on to the form of the team in a minute, but I'm interested in the psychological aspect of this because, you know, anybody who's known people in football who've had injuries long term know just what a mental struggle it is. How difficult is it to get through that period?
It's very tough. Again, I'll go back to the first time I'd done my other knee. I think I was 21 years old, and I was coming back through that injury. I was in a really dark place. I think I was quite depressed, missing the whole season of football at that age, and obviously coming towards that point before I got injured, I was playing really good football. So I think coming through that when I was younger has really helped me at this point. I think you definitely need a strong sort of family, or you need close friends. You need a lot of support, really. Swindon obviously offered me tons and tons of support. Obviously, the fans were incredible. The messages I was receiving. But yeah, it's a grind every day, really, because you've got to do the stuff that it doesn't feel like you're doing anything, but it actually is. Which would be simple little movements to get the range back in your knee, and it was just it's hard. I think you got to be determined and driven, and luckily I think I have those qualities. Obviously, I don't think I would have been able to come back from this injury, and I feel very good. I feel as good as I did before the injury. So it's just now getting more minutes and more time with the team and training. So hopefully he can really kick on and get back to how I was feeling in myself, like the confidence wise and stuff like that. So,
well, anyone of those of us who've travelled to away games in far-flung northern places will know how your family is a great support for you, because they're always there. And I think I mentioned to you last time, the Leyton Orient game, when the entire Conroy family was there. I think they took up most of the crowd, didn't they? It was a great afternoon, and that shows the support they have for you.
Yeah, exactly. Especially my mum. She's. It was tough. I think I couldn't really get out of my bed for about, I think it was 6 weeks, and then it was a point where I wasn't able to actively like move my knee myself, like bend my knee, for about 3 months. So as soon as I came out my cast, I think had the operation in the first week of October. I came out of the big brace and everything in January the 1st, and took the brace off and looked at my leg, and my leg I've got quite big legs as it is anyway. So my leg was probably as thin as my arm, and it was just, it's tough. So I think having the support from all my family in Swindon and the fans, it is crucial. Otherwise, it's a very dark place. But I'm just thankful that I've come through it, and I just feel very blessed to do what I love again. So yeah.
Well, we're very pleased to have you back, and this is from Steve, who sent us a message tonight. I thought you were man of the match when you were taken off. Great comeback. Keep going with it. You have the ability, and I think everybody feels that for you, because Saturday was an emotional day anyway. For all of us who were able to go to that game again. And you came on, of course, the week before at Gillingham, didn't you? You got 68 minutes on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Did you come off purely because it was 68 minutes and you'd kind of run out of steam, or was there a problem? What was the reason?
I got a knock on my quad at the start, in the first half. I can't remember whenabouts it was, but it was just bothering me a little bit towards the end of the second half. And I think it's just one of them things. Once the more older you get, you start using your brain a little bit instead of playing through the injury. And then I might miss tomorrow's game or the weekend's game or how many other games. It was sensible to come off at that point. As well, they didn't really need me on the pitch in that sense. We needed obviously a goal. So it was just more of just using my brain and trying to keep myself as fresh as I can for the rest of the games and try and play as many games as I can now before the end of the season.
Yeah, and you know your own body more than anybody. I mean, it's that simple, really, isn't it? And if there's a problem, there's no point in staying on, is there, really? No. You want to get through as many games as you can. There was a moment, I mentioned you before we started this, after about 4 or 5 minutes, when you went to the ground, and there were many of us going, but then you got up again. And we talked to you before about that psychological moment when you have to make the first tackle in anger. Yeah. Have you gone through that? Are you okay now?
Yeah, to be fair, it's been a weird start to the season for me personally, in the sense that I came back at pre-season, I was running with the team. It then took me about a month till I joined in training. And I think, I don't know, I was going in for slide tackles and all of that straight away. So I think it kind of, it's gone already. So, and especially playing the pre-season game against Bristol City, when I was just kind of put on a bit unexpectedly, that was probably the best thing that could have happened for me, in a sense. I was only meant to play 20 minutes and I ended up playing, I think it was 45 minutes or 50 minutes. So obviously that was actually probably the most important part of the season for me so far, in that sense of coming back from the injury. So I feel I don't really have any issues with doing any movements. Like I was saying earlier, I feel very comfortable with my knee now. It's just a matter of playing more games, and I've only been training again 3 weeks since coming back from this ankle operation, which was very frustrating. But the more I train, the more I play, I'll just get more confident.
Do you feel you're up for 90 minutes yet, or not quite? How do you feel about that?
I think it depends how the game goes. If it's end to end, I think we'll be. I might struggle with that. Obviously, 14 months of not playing any games is tough, and obviously with the games that we've had so far, we've been Saturday, Tuesday. We haven't been able to organise any like friendlies, so I haven't been able to get minutes anywhere. So playing against Gillingham was the first time I've played an actual game since Bristol City. So I think I've coped pretty well to last 2 lots of 60 minutes. And yeah, I think if I'm needed to play 90 minutes tomorrow or Saturday, I think I'll be able to cope with that, definitely.
Well, it's great to hear. I don't think there's a Swindon fan who doesn't wish you well, really, genuinely. And it's great to see you back. We'll get onto the form of the team now, if you, well, I don't know if you want to or not, if you want to hide under the table or whatever, but this is a sort of question that we're all thinking, really. This is from Danny. What do you think is missing from the side at the moment? And do you genuinely think that the team can avoid relegation this season?
Yeah.
You know, you've watched it from outside and now inside. What are your feelings?
I think it's been very tough in the sense we've had a lot of injuries. And it's felt like that at times. We've had 5 or 6 players injured, including myself at the start. We then get those 5 or 6 players out, and then all of a sudden there'd be another 3, 4, 5 injuries that are completely different bodies. And I think that's come from a short pre-season to having all that extra time off from COVID. But I think now you're starting to see, obviously you've got me and Zeki that have come back. Jordan's very close. I think with the performances we've had, especially the last 2 games that I've been involved in with Gillingham and obviously Saturday, that we've played a lot better than the opposition, or definitely haven't deserved to come away with 0 points. So I think the more time we get used to having a full squad together, and a couple more injured players coming back, you've got Ellis, Brody, Jordan, Joel, all them players that are coming back. Obviously Johnny Smith came on the weekend, so I think once everyone starts getting back fit, with the performances we've put in the last 2 games, I'm 100% confident we can get definitely, I think, towards the promotion playoffs. Because again, it's a very strange time. We have 29 games left, so usually at this point you're halfway through the season. So I think we have to keep reminding ourselves that it's only, again, 16, 17 games. I think we're confident we can definitely climb up the table. We just need a couple results to go our way and just kind of eradicate a few of the silly little errors. And it's tough when you get a new manager coming in. The transition is a bit different, the way each manager wants to play. So I think all the boys, everyone's confident that we definitely stay up this year. We just need a few things just to go our way. That's all.
This is from Kay, and it goes to what I was saying. Great to see you back, Dion. I think everybody thinks that. Thanks, Kay. Obviously, you mentioned a different manager coming in, plus the fact defence has been, well, let's put it like this. Nobody's really sure what the back four is at the minute, and I'm sure in the club you're not particularly sure because of injuries and things like that. And that can't really help, can it, if you haven't got a settled defence?
Of course not. I remember, when I got injured with my knee last year, we went through a phase, I think for a month, where we struggled to put in any performances. I remember Richie saying it. It's hard to, when you've got a back four that is, you know what your back four is, to then it changing constantly. It's hard to build relationships and just keep that consistency. So I think keeping everyone injury free is a massive thing. It's definitely going to be massive for us to pick up points, especially when we're away. Having a solid defence is crucial. And then hopefully we can just take the chances that we get. Because I think we had enough chances on the weekend to win the game. So again, it's just eradicating them silly little errors, and hopefully the goals will come.
Zeki came back on Saturday, of course. Peter says after coming back, hopefully he'll have an extended run in the team. And he looked comfortable. You looked comfortable until you went off. And that's good news, isn't it? I mean, that players can slot in and look comfortable.
Yeah, again, Zeki can play left back. He can play centre half. He can play left wing back. So, again, the more people we can get fit and playing, especially a player of Zeki's standard, is going to be crucial for us to keeping clean sheets and putting in good performances and keeping that consistency. So, I was buzzing to see Zeki back, and I think he said the same to me. So obviously we had a good partnership towards just before I got injured, obviously last year, and I think I'm definitely looking forward to playing with Zeki and just hopefully putting in a few wins in the next few weeks.
Tomorrow's Doncaster away, of course. Tim sent this in. What are the travel arrangements? Because obviously, what with different tiers around the country, it's very difficult. I mean, for instance, do you stay in a hotel? What happens?
We're travelling tomorrow. I think because obviously I don't think we can stay in a hotel the night before. I'm not too sure about that side of things, but we're travelling tomorrow. So yeah, we'll be on the coach, and it'll be just treated like a normal. Well, normal. It's about 3.5 hours, I think it is. But I think everyone will be doing their preparation right. Obviously, the day before the game, and obviously before the game on the day, everyone will be eating well, and sort of, I'm sure I'll be sleeping on the coach before the game. I try and get a little nap in there. But yeah, we'll be travelling tomorrow early afternoon, and I think we'll go have pre-match somewhere and then make our way to the stadium.
Obviously, you know, it is a tough game tomorrow. They're 7th, I think, and Charlton on Saturday 5th. So two sides that are doing okay. Important matches. And I guess, you know, the one thing that we've all noticed on Saturday was fans came back. Now, yeah. I don't know about you, but, you know, for somebody like me, I'm 65, and there I was. Something was in my eye, Dion, when you all came out. It was not a tear, I promise you. It was... Well, it was. It was a tremendously emotional moment for all of us. How did you as players feel?
Yeah, the funny thing, all the players were saying it just felt very strange. Obviously, to play the first 15, 16 games with no fans, to then hear that noise, especially for me on a personal note, it was incredible to start my first game in 14 months and hear the fans and hear them cheering my name and being able to see my parents out there. That was very emotional for me. And then, but the fans were massive. Obviously, the support that we could hear, the cheering. It was an amazing feeling just to hear them chanting and singing. It was just an incredible atmosphere. So I think that's definitely what every game. Everyone always says the same thing. It's not the same without the fans. So it was an amazing feeling coming out to the fans and hearing them sing. It was obviously disappointing that we couldn't get any points or couldn't get a result for them. But hopefully we can change that Saturday against Charlton when they come to watch. It's just a shame we can't get any away fans to come to the away games. So, but hopefully things will change. Hopefully,
we miss that terribly. Even long away trips to places like Carlisle, I can assure you, we miss those. Tomorrow, of course, you're going back to an empty stadium, aren't you? So, no fans there tomorrow.
Yes, I think that's going to be a different type of feeling going to playing with fans. Saturday, then Tuesday, you've got no fans. So, I think it's definitely. It's a strange one. But again, it won't affect the performance in that sense. Everyone knows what they got to do, and everyone will be watching on live follow, I'm sure. So all the boys are going to do our best to get the 3 points.
Yeah, we'll be watching the little. I don't know about you, but I don't know whether you watched on iFollow. We get the spinning white circle when it freezes. So
it's frustrating.
We kind of missed that on Saturday. We thought there might be a moment when the spinning white circle might appear, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Skipper, it's great to see you back. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I know the result wasn't what you wanted on Saturday, but you know the big bonus was seeing you out there for 68 minutes, and we wish you continued success throughout the season.
Thank you, I appreciate that, Vic. Thank you.
No problem at all. You stay safe and get off and rest or whatever you do now. So great to see you. Hear from you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
see you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Lovely to see him, Vic. Lovely.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I think when you saw him play on Saturday, you realised just what we'd missed actually, because he's a class player, no question about it. Yeah.
He dominates he does his role very good. So, right then, so let's bring the panel on. So we'll bring them on one by one. So let's bring James on first. So I got to do these all individually, and it's so James should be coming up.
Just a reminder, we got our quiz on Thursday night, so if you want to join us with that, I'll be wearing a Santa hat. Lee Peacock will be wearing some strange hairstyle that might look like a Santa hat for all we know. His hairstyles are obviously legendary, so we'll see. 7 o'clock, join us.
We've got Johnny. So there we go. So we've got Dan, James, Mark and Johnny.
Mark hasn't quite joined us yet. He's not unmuted.
Okay, there we go.
There he is. He hasn't unmuted yet, Mark. You haven't unmuted. There we are.
I'm getting there, Vic.
Who knew we'd know all these terms 12 months ago? Who knew all this stuff?
See you later.
Thank you, Chris, very much indeed. James, Dan, Johnny and Mark, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Let's go round first and foremost. James, Dion Conroy coming back. That's got to be a plus, hasn't it?
Yeah, I echo everything you just said to him, actually. And he seems like a really nice guy as well, doesn't he? He's a class act. He's one of those footballers that makes playing look so easy. He just kind of glides all across the pitch, which I think is just amazing. He doesn't look like he's putting a lot of effort in it. It's almost like an easy thing for him. And I think having him back, yeah, I must admit I winced a couple of times when he got sandwiched in between two of their players in the first 10 minutes. I thought, oh God, what's going on here? But no, I think really, really class act. Great to have him back. Yeah, and long kind of, you know, I think the longer we can keep him in the team, especially with Friars back as well now, I think the better, really. So, yeah, delighted.
Dan, I would imagine you echo that, don't you?
Yeah, good evening all. Thanks, Vic. Yeah, just for Dion personally, to have gone through that injury once, you know, is quite something. So to go through another major injury at just the age of 24, 25, just that personal journey, even if he played terribly at Gillingham and he didn't, then it was just so marvellous to see him back out on the pitch. And lest we forget, he is club captain of the League Two champions. So at some stage, we need to get that stadium nice and full and give him a big old pat on the back. But I think that might be a little while yet. But no, yeah, brilliant to have him back. Marvellous.
I think you're absolutely right. League Two Championship seems a long time ago now, Mark.
Very long time ago.
Yeah, Mark, he's one of these players who just looks comfortable, doesn't he? He's a comfortable footballer, I'd say.
Yeah, he's a good player, isn't he? I think we all, you know, welcomed seeing him. We welcomed seeing Zeke Friars. I thought when Zeke Friars came on, actually, with the greatest respect to Dion, he added something in terms of pace, which is lacking in the Swindon back four and lacking actually all over the team. I think Dion with a big centre-half is required. Tom Broadbent springs to mind. And then you're thinking about perhaps if a combination works, playing him in a 3 with wing-backs. That's maybe how I see it. I don't see a combination of Dion and Zeke Friars as 2 centre-halves too small. So we'll see how it goes, really.
Obviously, Johnny, you kind of get the inside track on all this. But it is great to see the club skipper back again. But that point I made to him about a settled defence, right now, that's kind of crucial, isn't it? Because nobody knows what the back four is from 1 week to the next.
Yeah, we're sort of saying that when Sheridan came in, he was sort of preaching defensive stability. And it's sort of gradually come about, but at a cost to the kind of offensive output. We stopped scoring goals, which seems to never be a problem for us. I think there's so many cliches about goals win games, but defense wins championships, etc. Far from us trying to win a championship at this point, where I think if the defense becomes settled and Dion or whoever becomes a regular part of that, then it makes it easier to work on those problems maybe going forward. It's the hardest thing to do, isn't it, scoring a goal? But I think we spoke to Johnny Smith earlier today, and he was sort of saying it's almost frustrating that sometimes we're just out of games before we've even had a chance. Like we're how many times have we been 1-0 down inside the first 15 minutes this season? And that doesn't happen. Then we go on and we can get something out of a game. So if that stops happening, there's a good chance that, and it sounds ridiculous, but he said the playoffs aren't that far. They're not a ridiculous point because I think he was at Tranmere. I'm sort of giving away my story for tomorrow, but here we are. He said that he was at Tranmere a few years ago, and they went on a mad winning run after Christmas. They won about 10 games in a row after being 19th or so in League Two. They got in the playoffs, then won the playoffs. I'm not saying that can happen, but he said that it's not out of the question because I would say personally, the performances for the most part haven't been that bad. I've been looking at them going, it's just, it's obviously ifs and buts, but for me, that I keep saying it and I haven't changed my mind despite a couple of dodgy performances. This doesn't look like a team to me that is going down. I just think there's too many good parts to this. And I've not seen that many Swindon teams in my life, but I just don't think this team is going down. So I think with players like Dion coming back, you get a settled defence. The selection in forward areas becomes a bit more difficult. Then I think things are trending in the right direction.
Well, let's hope so. You mentioned Johnny Smith and Tranmere. Of course, he scored for Tranmere against Swindon at the Town End, opening day of the season, if I remember rightly, a few seasons ago. James Fleetwood, discuss. Were you there first and foremost? You were there.
I was in the Town End for probably the first time in about 15 years. So that was quite good.
Yeah, just describe that moment then, because I mentioned to Dion, yeah, I was emotional when they came. There is nothing like that. And my goodness, that's been deprived for obvious reasons for the last goodness knows how long. What was that moment like for you?
Absolutely amazing. I think one of my trust colleagues, wasn't Dan actually, it was someone else, basically said I was over keen. I was actually sat in my seat literally as the turnstiles opened in the town end, probably about 1:45, I think it was.
It's 1:30, James.
Sorry, it was half. Sorry, Dan, it was 1:30. Yeah. Literally, it's just been too long, and it was just amazing. It really was. I think ultimately, when the team came out for the first time, goosebumps. Not sure I had a tear in my eye quite, but certainly wasn't far off. Very, very emotional. I think, I think the fans that were there certainly made enough noise. I mean, I thought when I first got in the ground, I thought, 2,000 fans. It probably wasn't going to be 2,000 anyway, probably more like 1,800 when you look at it. But actually, we made a decent noise, and I think it was really good. A really, really good experience. And I think, I can't wait to go to more games, really.
I can't wait to ask Mark about his Christmas jumper in a minute, which is quite superb. Dan, were you there on Saturday?
I was. I had a view from the side of the pitch, unlike James, who was behind the goal. Well, the first thing I'd just like to say is congratulations to Danny Lee and team at Swindon Town. It was really well organised, it was well executed, and the day went off without a hitch until the football started.
Something had to spoil it, didn't it?
Second thing I'd say, echoing what James said, I thought, it was good to have fans influencing the game again. And there was a nice spell in the second half where the crowd were really getting on the referees' back. And, that is home advantage to a T. That ability to hound an official, that ability to, put an opposition player under pressure and actually, for the first time this season, make a mark on a game. And just while we're on the ref,
didn't make much of a difference, though, Dan, did it, to the ref? Let's be honest.
No, I think Fleetwood managed the ref very well. Let's just say.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, I was. I also went to the Exeter Northampton EFL Trophy game on Tuesday, and my goodness me, if you thought the referee Saturday got some abuse, you should have heard that on Tuesday night. And just on the subject of Danny Lee, I've got a long spiel on how the ballot works, which I might get to a little bit later. But he's added this point. Supporters will receive their tickets for Charlton on Thursday this week, and ballots for MK Dons and Wigan will open later this week also. So keep an eye on the website for details. There's a long spiel on how they actually select in the ballot, which I might get to between now and the end. But just to say, you'll get your tickets for Charlton on Thursday. When you get the notifications, I don't know, because we were saying, of course, with the advent of London and the South East in Tier 3 now, that means that people from that particular area won't be able to travel into Tier 2 in Swindon. Mark, stand up. We've got to see that again. Oh, fabulous. That's fantastic. Bit early. You've gone a bit early.
Maybe.
So that's okay. Yeah. Right. Were you there Saturday?
I was there. Yeah, and it was. I echo the thoughts of the gents, certainly off the pitch. It was great to be back. I don't necessarily echo their thoughts on the pitch. I thought the fans lifted us for 15 minutes of the first half. There was a little spell in the second half where I thought we played a bit better. But generally speaking, I didn't think it was a great performance. I didn't agree with Dion, who said that we made lots of chances. I thought we made a small handful. And I'm also concerned with, you could put it perhaps as almost a blasé attitude to say, this team won't go down. This team is too good to go to League Two. We've seen it before. This team is in a relegation scrap right now, and we need to get out of it. I do not want to go back to League Two. We spent 3 seasons there, and we played brilliantly last year to come out of it. We need to do everything we can to stay in this league. And it worries me that people are saying, "Oh, we're gonna go, up the league and the playoffs are a chance." I don't think so. I think we'd all settle for mid-table mediocrity now, and we need to start showing some real fight and some real resolve, starting tomorrow night, to start getting some points on the table before it's too late.
Yeah, Johnny, it's a difficult week, isn't it? We've got Doncaster away tomorrow night, and then Charlton at home on the Saturday.
Then
Johnny,
Pompey away.
Then Pompey, Ipswich over Christmas. The fixtures
tough games.
Tough
They are.
Johnny, what's the mood in the camp, would you say? First of all, let's get your view from the press box. Here you are in the lonely eyrie of the Arkle stand on the other side of the ground from everybody else. What was it like seeing the fans back?
It was one of those. I said at the start, I didn't think I would kind of, in like the nicest way, I didn't think I'd miss fans, because it's awful. Like, my concentration levels are quite poor. So when you've got 6,000 people screaming in your ear, it's really hard to concentrate on what you're writing sometimes. But no, when they came back, I was sat there, and I think, was it James or Dan said about they were giving the referee some jip, and I thought, yeah, the fans are back. Like, I'm so happy they're back. I missed it so much. The noise, and it felt like there were more than 2,000 in there, which is a compliment to pay. And I don't know. I just think that I think people were excited to be there at the start, and then, like you said, the football wasn't amazing, so it became a bit like, difficult to kind of get behind the team, and it was almost like the frustration that the referee gave the crowd sort of some impetus. And then, I just think, like, this season, I don't think for the vast majority the referees have been that bad. I think there's been maybe one or two games where I've gone, God, the referee is terrible. I think Plymouth away, he sent, was it Johnny Smith off? Just terrible. But other than that, they've mostly been quite good. And I remember sitting there on Saturday thinking, I think it was about the 55th minute, and he booked someone for, like, was it someone down by the Don Rogers? And I thought, why have you done that? I just remember thinking, the referee can't handle a crowd. It's the most frustrating thing. That's almost the only negative to fans being back, that referees at this level just don't seem to be able to just officiate the game. They were doing it fine when the fans weren't there. I mean, it's obviously easier said than done, but I just thought it was a bit frustrating on Saturday. There was a lot of frustration kind of boiling around, and then, Fleetwood scored, and they had their game plan and they stuck to it, and it went quite well for them.
Yeah, you can't criticise their game management. And no matter how distasteful we all find defensive tactics, knocking the ball out, wasting time, all that kind of stuff, if you're 1-0 up away from home, you're going to take the 3 points, aren't you? That's the bottom line, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've said, I think maybe on here, or I've levelled it at the team for years. Like, we've been so naive in terms of, like, leaving a game open when we're 1 or 2-0 up. It's one of those things where if the other team's doing it, you absolutely hate it. If your team's doing it, you're like, who cares, we're winning. It's just, that's the fickleness of football, isn't it? So I just think it's one of those things where if you give it out, you've got to be able to take it. You just hope the referee kind of does a decent job at handling it and saying, okay, that's too far. Like, when someone's, booted the ball away, like, that's a yellow card. But if they're picking the ball up so they can get back in position and throwing it back, I think you've just got to take that as gamesmanship and, try and speed him up.
I'm reminded here, of course, that the referee at Plymouth actually is a fan of a club down the A420. I think I'm right in saying, is that right? This is what's been put on here, so I'm not going to take issue with that. Apparently they play in yellow, but I'm not really sure about that. What about the strength of the squad now then, James? Obviously, here we are. I've seen, I can't remember who put it on Facebook or Twitter or something, a team made up of people who are injured. It was you, Dan. I thought it was you, Dan. Yes, absolutely. So you've got 11 players. It's a bit like the Decanio days when you've got 23 players sitting in the stand and you make 2 teams up with them. But you've got all these players out at the moment who could come in and reinforce. So maybe the picture isn't as gloomy as we maybe think. Is that fair?
Yes, although I do think what worries me, and I think Dion touched on it when he was on earlier, is because of a lot of clubs are suffering with injuries, and I think more so than normal, and it's because of the difference in kind of the coming back in, them having loads of time off and then kind of coming back in quite quickly. But what worries me most is literally, as again Dion said, we seem to get a couple of players back in and then a couple go back out again. So we're really kind of almost just like treading water. I think the proof will be in the pudding over the next kind of couple of weeks to see whether people like Dion and Zeke and stuff like that, they can stay in the team and actually stay fit. Because I think, we desperately need those senior pros to kind of keep fit and really help us push up the table. And I agree with Mark as well. I think I'd be happy finishing a couple of places above the dotted line, to be honest. I don't think we've got a strong enough squad. If we can find someone in January that can score us some goals, maybe a big forward, then I think I think we'll probably be okay. But I think at the moment I'll be happy a couple of places above. But I think the squad is generally mostly okay. I think midfield we've got a problem because we've got I think it's been mentioned by pretty much every outlet really, including lots of fans on Twitter and what have you. We've got two midfielders there who pretty much played all games.
Yeah.
And Grant looks absolutely, if you watch him, literally, when he runs, he seems to be okay, but half the time he just looks like he's really, really struggling. And I think, it is. And he's obviously, I mean, we knew he was playing through an injury, but it doesn't seem to be getting any better. And if anything, it's going to get worse. And we really need to give that guy a rest for a number of weeks. Otherwise, he's going to break down for a longer period of time, and then we're really going to be in trouble.
I mean, I've made the comment before that when the physio comes in, they kind of replace the bit that's injured, don't they?
Exactly.
He is like Iron Man. They just kind of go, which bit's hurting, and then they take it out and put it in. Yeah. I mean, I did watch him on Saturday, and you're right. Every time he goes near the ball and tackles or kicks it, or he winces because you can tell he's genuinely in pain. And
someone mentioned today as well that I think it might have been one of the Trust group that apparently when he's not playing, he's literally wearing a boot.
Yeah, he is. I saw him after Gillingham. He's literally like the guy, the boot you wear when you like break your ankle or something.
Yeah.
Wearing that. When he's not playing, that is what he's wearing. He doesn't wear, when he's not wearing a football boot, he wears a brace. Basically.
Exactly. So how can I mean, he can't be training, I can't imagine they'll, he must not be training and they must literally just be patching him up every Saturday, every Tuesday. But the poor chap is going to develop some kind of longer term injury soon if he's not careful. But we need him so desperately. Even a half-fit Grant is better than what we've currently, I guess, kind of got as an option. But I think once some of the other injured players come back, and if we recall, I forget his name, the guy that's on loan to Wigan, the midfielder,
Matty Palmer.
If we recall him later in this, I think we really do need to grant, a rest desperately, because I do worry what the long-term impact will be to him, really.
Well, we'll get on to Matty Palmer in a minute because I was going to ask that very question. And there's also somebody at Newport who happens to be playing quite well at the moment, who I might mention in a moment. Dan, it is notable, isn't it? When you watch Grant play, you don't get that impression when you're watching it on iFollow because of the spinning white circle and things. But actually, when you do see him close up, you realise that this guy's playing literally through the pain barrier, isn't he?
Yeah. So on the Trust STFC account today, we looked at some appearance stats, and so I'll just repeat them now for everyone's benefit. So I think between the 7th of September and the 7th of March last season, Grant started 29 games and come off the bench once in a 6-month period. This year, in a 3-month, 1-week season, because we're only 3 months, 1 week in, and it's felt like a lifetime. He's already played 20 games from the start and one off the bench. This is a guy who absolutely is injured, mixed in with probably a lot of fatigue too. And I think you can see that fatigue point in the way that Matt Smith has just dipped off in the last couple of weeks, and he has set himself some very high standards. So, Anthony Grant, despite the injury, is our highest appearance maker this year at 21. So at age 33, I think we just need to give Anthony Grant a very large hug and hope for a sort of 3-week beast from the east, snowed off, and just let him put his feet up. But no, I mean, he's got to be commended, because knowing the sort of professional that he is, he can't be happy going out onto the pitch every week and playing worse because he's injured. Because when he is fit, as we saw last season, he's an absolute monster in midfield. He's, so key to letting our forward players express themselves, because he just helps keep that back door shut. But I'm just really feeling for Grant, and I think it limits Matt Smith too, because Matt Smith just needs to hold his position knowing that Grant's not fully fit. affects the whole balance of the side. It's a real shame. I think tomorrow night, with it looking like a really difficult game at Doncaster, plus our Tuesday night record is appalling. I think we've lost every Tuesday night league game this year. Is there a case to almost write tomorrow night off? Not that you ever should, and just give Grant a rest. Don't risk Baudry again, and actually have a look at a couple of these squad players. Luke Haynes, he did okay against Forest Green Rovers.
Yeah, he did. He had a good game. Yeah,
Why
yeah.
not? And hopefully
Mark?
Jordan Lydon can get fit soon too.
Yeah, Mark, what's your view on this? We do seem to have a ridiculous amount of injuries this season, don't we? I mean, it's a big conveyor belt. One comes back, and another one goes.
Yeah, it's a worry, isn't it, Vic? And I echo what Dan said. It's absolutely commendable, Anthony Grant, to play through what is clearly an injury. Johnny's alluded to it. You can't play a player who, outside of football, is in a boot. That just doesn't work. So we have to give him a rest, regardless of perhaps whether we lose a couple of games. And yeah, I agree with Dan to a certain extent. I'd love to win at Doncaster 1-0, but not at the expense of Grant, really. So I think the thing you asked, Vic, about the squad isn't as good as last season's. I think the squad from League Two, the one we had to win the championship in League Two, would have done pretty well in League One and probably be perhaps currently sitting comfortably in the top 10. We've got some nice, tidy footballers. Matt Smith, good little footballer. Jack Payne, not a bad little footballer, but we haven't really got any devil. We haven't got any devil up front. We need a couple of strikers. I'd sign a couple of non-league strikers. The one from Darlington looked okay when he was down here. And just people who can hold the ball up. We played the ball up to Tyler Smith in the first half. We were knocking long balls. He was never going to win the ball in the air. We then reverted to what I would call tippy-tappy football in the second half, which didn't really go anywhere and allowed Fleetwood to get back into shape, which most defences worth their salt can do. So I think we must mix it up. If we want to stay in this league, and I make no apology for saying it again, we must stay in this league, then we need a couple of, pretty robust strikers. That's essential. And I think we're thin in midfield without Lydon. Look at last season's midfield. We had Lydon, Grant and Doughty. A really good midfield, not just for League Two, but probably for League One. We've now got half a Grant and the other two aren't playing. So, we've got to look to perhaps bring somebody in. Not sure about Matty Palm. I don't know enough about him to know if he's an adequate replacement. But we must get players in January in order to stay in this league. It's essential.
Well, I think he's a picker of a pass, a bit like Doughty would have been. I mean, he's that sort of player, isn't he? Anthony White says our defence was full of injuries last season as well, injury-prone players. And Danny says we created little goals for it on Saturday. We don't seem to move the ball quick enough. If you compare to the speed of passing and movement last season, early this season, we allow teams to easily defend against them, which is what you were saying, Mark. And Dan says, thought Fleetwood managed the game well away from home. Probably helped them that we weren't offering absolutely no threat, of course. Johnny, let's talk about the amount of goals we're missing. We've talked about this all season. We've missed 25 goals from one player. We've lost another dozen or so from another player. We've lost a lot of goals and we haven't replaced them. It's that simple, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think this everyone in the summer, Richie wanted a striker and we didn't get one. There was a case of let's try and kind of paddle our way through to January. The thing that almost annoys me is that I've heard a couple of people go recently. I was like, we haven't got a goal scorer. Yes, we have. We've got Tyler Smith. He scored 7 goals in 12 games. Like we have. We're not playing the right style. It isn't going to suit him. I think he's shorter than me. I think he's about 5'6". There is no point playing this direct style. Yes, it takes the ball away from the back line, which is where the issues are happening. But if you're going to pump the ball up to him, he's not going to win it. Doncaster have got two. I'm pretty confident they're over 6'2" big centre backs tomorrow night. If we go and do that tomorrow, we're going to get beat. There's no point going. There is no point going. I don't want to go into a full rant on Sheridan's tactics here, but to go back.
Go on, Johnny.
No. I still need to get into the club, so I'm not going to. But no, to go back to the striker problem, I think it was always going to be about just getting through to January, scoring goals however we could, trying to stay in games, and then when it comes to January, the first person that's coming back is Scott Twine. Make no mistake about that. he's
Yeah, yeah. You've kind of stolen my thunder because I was going to bring his name into this. There was a classic moment on Saturday where Tyler Smith had two players literally on him. I don't know if they had a corner and they had two defenders literally standing on his feet, pretty much. I mean, that, you know, the poor guy had that to deal with, didn't he? Throughout the course of the game, he had those big defenders to deal with, and he's a ball on the floor man, isn't he, Johnny? I think it's fair to say, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he's a running behind, similar to sort of Yates in a way. He's not really. It's sort of a bit of a mismatch. The point is, we need someone, a bigger guy, someone maybe mobile, just to kind of do that donkey work. I think that the Tom Broadbent thing worked well for Oxford because it was spur of the moment. But the moment he did it against Crewe, it was a bit like, well, it's not gonna work, and it didn't.
It did for a while, and then what they desperately needed was Tom Broadbent back in defence.
Yeah, I just think
to go and help out second half. It was that simple, wasn't it? Really.
Without sort of analysing the Crewe game again, I think that the way that Crewe were playing, that formation was almost as soon as we went 2-0 up, Tom Broadbent should have gone from where he was to centre half. We should have gone 5-4-1, and they would never have got back into that game because the way that we basically, I don't think we really deserved to be 2-0 up. We scored good goals, but it was a bit like, oh, this has kind of come out and this is nice. Like let's take this, and we should. I think you've got to learn you got to know when to kind of cut and run. And we just again left the game too open, gave them a chance. It's a poor error from Caddis for the goal, and then the second half was, I mean,
could have been 8. Rob says, Doughty huge miss in midfield. Grant's been overloaded without his outlet. Hans in Norway, hello to you, Hans, a member of this panel from time to time. Spot on, Johnny, regarding a certain subject which you want to go back into the club again, so we won't go on about it. But spot on, says Hans. Right, Scott Twine then. James, is he the answer? It's putting a lot of pressure on somebody, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I've actually watched a few of the Newport games, and he's regularly been a kind of 8 out of 10. You know, he's been when he first signed for them, I thought, not sure this is the right move for him, to be honest. And I don't think Richie did either, but he let him go to get some experience. But they've changed their style of play from what we saw last season. They're playing a lot more on the ground. He's playing as a kind of, well, he's played in 2 positions really. He's played number 10. And he's also played kind of more midfield. But yeah, he's doing really, really well. He looks a lot stronger than he's done when he's played for Swindon in the past. You know, he's not getting knocked off the ball as easily as he was. Some of the goals he scored are absolutely outrageous. 35-yard shots, you know, and they've kind of got in the top corner. But I think definitely one to come back. But I think he's not the answer to what we've got. Some of the issues we've got up front. I agree with what's already been said from Mark and I think Johnny as well. We need someone, you know, Smith. I think needs someone to flip the ball onto him. A big centre half, a big forward.
Well, to be fair, you're looking at Brett Pittman, who's not anywhere, is he? Maybe
he's
Johnny.
fit again. He was on the
is
bench.
he? Right. But I mean, what I mean is that's the ideal combination, isn't it? Big man, small man. But it hasn't quite worked yet.
It is, but I'm not sure. I think Pittman's quite good at holding the ball up when it comes to him at a lower level, but I think he's not. I don't think he would necessarily be as effective, say, as Broadbent was against Oxford, where he was flicking the ball on. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm doing him injustice. I don't think he's been. Well, he hasn't been fit the whole time he's been with us so far. He had no pre-season. He hadn't played for a year. You know, and he's really, we've not seen anywhere near Pittman's kind of level. I think we probably won't until towards the end of the season, which is a worry. My worry is though. So yeah, definitely bringing Twine back. I'd argue that you're probably interchanging with Payne. You know, the two of them kind of in and out. You know. But at least kind of some depth in the squad there that we can kind of swap people out. My worry is though we won't have any money ultimately to bring anyone in January. I mean, obviously we've lost Donohue's wages, but then you know, he wasn't paid that much anyway because he was on. You know, I think Richie said he's on kind of last chance saloon, and we got him on the cheap ultimately. So you know we won't be kind of freeing up loads of wages. So that's my worry, that we won't be able to get anyone in. Maybe we need to do what Mark said and get someone from non-league in that's not going to be a big earner, not going to need a big fee, But we definitely need to do something. And I agree, you know, we can't go back to League Two again. It took us so long to get out there, and it's a hard league to get out of. But I think, yeah, I just think, you know, get that stabilised defence, get a big forward in to flip the ball on for Smith, Twine back for a bit of extra, bit of flair. I think we'll be all right, but I don't think we're going to be going up towards the playoffs. I think we'll be lucky, you know, kind of bottom half of the table. Yeah, I think we can do okay. I just think we need that striker. Desperately need that striker.
Dan, I was just thinking, we were talking about Scott Twine, the name Billy Bowden comes to my mind for some reason. And am I right to compare those two? I don't know, really, because we have Billy Bowden, who for some reason Di Canio didn't fancy.
I think his dad had something to do with that.
Possibly, yeah. Let's not get into that right now. But do you know what I mean by that? You can compare the two in a way, can't you? Because Billy Bowden went off and did well when he went out on to Torquay and places like that.
So I think it's a pretty good comparison, actually. You know, come through the Swindon youth system, has always been highly rated in that youth system. Size and physicality is neither of their games. But actually, you need to forget that and think about what they are good at. And the fact that we've produced a player who is, you know, one of Newport's best players in League Two, that's smashing. Big pat on the back to the academy guys at Swindon Town. Let me put it this way. If Scott Twine wasn't a Swindon player and we were linked with signing a player who has been one of Newport's best players this season, scored 5 or 6 goals, got 5 or 6 assists, been pinging them in from 30, 35 yards. I'm telling you now, the fan base would be excited. They'd be looking at YouTube videos of the goals. There'd be clips doing the rounds on Twitter. So, you know, getting Twine back is a reasonable option. However, he's very unlucky in the sense that we've already got Derlang Jayasimi and Jack Payne, who are 2 very good attacking midfielders. And that's the thing. Scott Twine hasn't been playing centre forward for Newport. He's been playing, as James said, attacking midfield or perhaps even a little bit deeper. So, you know, Newport have shown us, you know, there's a bit more to Scott Twine than we thought. So if you are going to bring him back, you've got to use him in the right place. And that might mean using Jayasimi and Payne wide to actually get the best out of Twine. But if you're going to bring him back and he's going to be behind Jayasimi and Payne in the queue, then, you know, you're better off leaving him at Newport, continuing his development. So it really is a question for the management. Are you going to use him? And if you were serious about using him, then bring him back. And, you know, if a local boy could help fire us out of trouble, that's brilliant. That's what we want. That's what we as a fan base love, you know. Produce your own players, and ultimately, you know, he might go on to be someone, you know, you might sell for £1 million. Who knows?
Billy Bowden's goal against Crawley, I seem to remember on Tuesday night. That was quite spectacular. Mark, where do you stand on this? Because obviously we all love to see local boys coming through and doing well, don't we? You know, we got a history of producing young players who go on and, you know, Lucas Jukovic from one, he's gone on and had a great career. People like that.
I think I'd bring him back. I think we all need to be a little careful about, you know, making Scott Twine the latest saviour of Swindon Town. Yeah. You know, and I completely agree there with Dan. You know, I think, yes, he comes back, but you've got to use him properly. And Scott Twine is not your target man. He's not going to be the one who, you know, jumps to flick balls on or, you know, holds the ball up. I think he's a clever player, and I think he's a good player. We've also got to be mindful of the fact that League One is definitely a big step up from League Two. You know, whilst he's doing well in League Two, you know, League One defences are cannier, players are better, generally quicker than some of the ponderous defences you get in League Two. But I'd have him back. But I go back to what I say at the beginning, you know, earlier on. We definitely need to sign not one, but probably 2 strikers. You know, Mr. Power, if you're listening, you need to get your wallet out and get a couple of strikers in, because otherwise we will be going back down to League Two. If we can't score the goals that we scored last week, irrelevant about the defence in a sense, you know, because if we're not scoring goals, we've scored, think back to the last 3 games, the Oxford win included, we won that game because of a surprise element of shoving a centre-half up top. And the 2 games since, we've not scored a goal.
I think we've conceded 7 without reply. I think that's fair to say.
Right. Yeah. We've also conceded 33 goals, which is the most in the entire Football League.
Yeah.
So, that will tell you something too. So we need to get these players fit, and we need to invest to stay in the league. And I think if we do, Swindon Town is a team and a club that can kick on with the right ownership. We saw 13,000 last year against Exeter. We know that the fan base is out there. We just need to show some ambition, and ambition starts with staying in this league.
Yeah, it does. I totally agree with that. Nobody wants to go back to League Two. No. Johnny, this from Danny. Need to sign Ademayo Sharpish. He's been excellent. I believe only under contract until January. Perhaps you can give us the lowdown on that. League Two would be a disaster. Again, especially if Cheltenham and Forest Green go the other way. This from Rob. Aren't we restricted to spending 20,000 in the January window under terms of the bailout? That's not going to go far. 20 grand's a lot of money, isn't it, in these current circumstances? And this from Hans, maybe give Harry Parsons more minutes. Who knows? Where do we stay with Ademayo? What is the situation with him, Johnny? Just clear that one up.
I thought he had a longer-term contract, definitely than January.
Yeah.
At least but he's not on like a great amount of money. I think Wellen said when he was here that we'd be getting a new deal, and by God, does he deserve it? Like, I think he's been one of our better players this year. So yeah, I'd say give him a longer contract and give him more money. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there. I would say Harry Parsons looks all right when he's come on the last 10 minutes. It's difficult because he keeps getting like 10 minutes at the end when the game's sort of dead. But I watched him a couple of times actually for the under 18s last year, and he is a hell of a player. Him and Massimo Giametti, I watched him a few times and I thought this kid's good. I really rate him. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd maybe give them a shot. Sort of sprinkle them in alongside Luke Haynes. And then it's just about trying different things. Getting through to January. I mean, the thing is that we've got such a tough run coming up. I think, like Johnny Smith said to me earlier, it's like no one really expects Town to do anything in the next, we've got 5 games, I think, before the end of the year. No one really expects anything from them. So they've almost got like a free hit. I think they feel like that. It's sort of a weird one because there's actually quite a lot of positivity. Like me and Andrew Horse from the BBC were chatting and we were saying, it just sort of feels a bit like, oh God, it's just head in hands all the time. But then you go and speak to the players and Steve Mildenhall and they're all quite positive. And then you come out thinking, maybe things aren't too bad. The mood in the...
You would hope they would be positive, though, to be fair, Johnny, wouldn't you? You wouldn't want to be...
But it would
realistic.
It would be understandable for them to be a bit like, oh God, like we're just trying to win the next game and hope things turn around. Genuinely, there's a real kind of confidence and positivity in the change room that they recognise that they're doing a lot of good things, but things just aren't breaking for them. I think that the Gillingham game was the absolute archetype for the season. Although we didn't create a lot of clear-cut chances, I tweeted, I don't think you'll see Swindon dominate a game any greater than that and not win it. I just, it was one mistake at the back for the first goal, which again goes back to what I said earlier about not conceding early. And then, Jai Simi's come into his own recently. Jack Payne's come into his own recently. There are good things there. I really don't think we're sort of that far away from things turning around. It's not like, I think Accrington, is there anyone else we've been absolutely hammered by where it's been like utterly dire? But there's been
second half,
was woeful. But for the most part, I don't think they're not that bad. Could it be argued? I don't know. Maybe
I would counter that. I think playing well and losing is a seriously bad habit, and actually the fact that
I'd rather play horribly and win 1-0.
Absolutely, yeah. And the fact that
I think it's more about at least they're playing okay. It's not like we're playing poorly and getting beaten every. We're playing. There's signs there. I think there's a little.
I think to hear the people inside the camp, being positive, thinking it's gonna. That feels like we're sleepwalking a little bit
Yeah,
into
I
a
agree.
serious relegation hole. And actually, with that run of fixtures to come, you can dress it up as a free hit all you want. But if you lose 4 of the next 6, and that's entirely possible,
You're
you're going to
marooned.
be
Yeah.
second bottom of the league.
I'd point a finger at Bristol Rovers and look what's happened since Mr. Tisdale's taken over.
that
They
was a good
climb in the
appointment.
table.
That's why.
Right, quickly, we've only got a couple of minutes left. This from Lena. I want to get this one. The goalkeeping situation. I didn't think the keeper did anything wrong on Saturday. And I thought there was a lot of pressure on him. And, with a crowd back, bearing in mind the amount of stick he's had, I thought he did all right.
Do you know what, Vic? I've been quite critical of him in the past, but actually sitting in behind the town end, I got to hear a lot of obviously what he was doing, shouting, how he's organising. I was actually really quite surprised because someone had mentioned in a few games ago, it might have been someone from the press actually, because obviously they were the only people at the games, that he wasn't commanding his defence particularly well. He wasn't organising things. He was consistently throughout the game shouting his head off at Bowdry and all the defence, to be honest, and organising them and telling them, shouting at them, telling them when people were kind of coming towards them. And what I was expecting and what actually was in reality were completely different things. I think he looked a lot more positive in his stance. I think, that commanding kind of, I think the last few games, he's obviously gleaned a bit of confidence from. I still think he comes to silly balls sometimes because obviously I think the goal came from a corner that he'd really should have just left, I think, the cross. But actually, I think the last couple of games, we've seen some more positive steps, and he is a really young keeper. I know we've said it. I know people have said it before, but ultimately, I think he will get better, and I think we'll end up at the end of the season probably talking about, him being one of our better players. I think some of his shot stopping has been really good the last couple of games.
And we've made the point before. We're going to wrap up now, but we've made the point before, did we not, that Bender had Luke McCormick with him for 3 months before this last season, before he actually took the first team goalkeeper shirt. So that was a big thing for him. Right, let's go around the panel quickly then. Tomorrow at Doncaster. Dan, what are you expecting?
What am I expecting? I'm expecting a bad defeat, and I will be very, very pleasantly surprised if it's anything but that. I hope Grant doesn't play. I think that would be a very sensible move. And if we can bed a couple more of those injured players back in, all the better.
Mark?
I'm gloomy.
Gloomy. What are you, Mark?
1-0 win.
Oh, good. Good man. Well done. Johnny?
I think I'm similar to Dan. It's not really looking forward to getting home at 2:30, having to write those player ratings in the car. And
I'll come if you want, Johnny.
All right,
I'll come. What?
You can do the player ratings because I really, really don't want to do them unless we do manage to scrape a 1-0 win, and then everyone's getting a 10, and you can all deal with it.
James?
I will be watching. My head says a 2-0 loss. My heart says a 1-1 draw.
That'd be a good result.
Yeah, just hope that the spinning white circle doesn't annoy me too much. This from Oliver. The goalie flapped at the cross just before the corner that Fleetwood scored. He should have caught the cross. Well, there you go. People have opinions, don't they? Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for your attendance this evening. Can I just ask the Trust members, because it's a takeover tonight by the Trust. There is an event coming up later this week. Do you want to just have a quick word about that?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Go on then.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah.
You've caught me on the hop. Is this the
Trust Matters thing?
Yes, I can talk about it.
Go on, James.
I don't know when we're actually going to release it, but on Wednesday night we are going to record a special Trust Matters, which is obviously the kind of series that we've been doing. Dan's been involved in as long with Steve and Rob, but literally
you wouldn't know it.
Sorry, yeah.
You wouldn't know it.
No, we're going to record a special one because back in we have an AGM every year. Back in we were supposed to have it in March time. We ended up having just an online one, but literally the most of the content of what we wanted to do this year in the AGM was about the celebration of the Anglo-Italian Cup. So literally we'd arranged for Vic. We booked the Legends Lounge. We were going to have all of the Sir Don and John Trollope and all the other players there. And we were going to celebrate the event at the same time as our AGM. Obviously, with COVID, we didn't get a chance to do that. So ultimately, we're going to do it online and record that. Vic's going to compare it be part of that with us. And we've got Sir Don and the rest of the players on Zoom. So we're going to record that Wednesday night, and probably it'll probably go out later in the week.
Lovely. I followed John Trollope at the county ground on Saturday. He got across the road quicker than I did. That's all I can say.
Maybe you can play for us.
Yeah. Chris, thank you very much indeed, gentlemen. Chris, over to you.
Thank you very much. That was great. Thanks ever so much, everybody. So we'll wrap up today. Just a reminder that on Thursday we've got the quiz, so please join us if you can. If not, we will be back on Monday for the review of the Charlton game. Okay, so thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.